Hello and welcome, this is Bulldog Games, and today I'm going to show you what we're going to be building in the next couple of episodes. Now this is the farming system game that we've been building recently on the channel, and I just want to show you how much progression I have made into this system, and we will build this over the next couple of episodes. So if I press play now, it's a little bit laggy. There you go. Right, so now what you can do, you have a little inventory. You can pick up these trees, for example. They obviously will be seed bags, but at the moment they're just trees. You can click on this, for example, say oak tree, and press E to plant these oak trees. And you can press on these cherry trees and plant these cherry trees. Now when you go up to these and press E, it'll tell you that the tree's still growing. Once they are fully grown, you can come up to these and cut these down, okay, and it'll drop a log, for example, okay. So these cherry trees, it'll drop a different type of log, okay, and then after 10 seconds or so, or any timer, the tree trunk will disappear. There you go. Okay, so we can cut these down and get the logs from it. For example, if we want to place another tree, we can place another tree down. We can walk up to here, try and chop it down, and it'll tell me that the tree's still growing. So that is what we're going to achieve in the next couple of videos. And yeah, so once it's cut down, we can cut it down and collect the resources. So in this episode we'll probably do the widgets and start the inventory system, but it's a very, very basic inventory system, just so you can plant trees down in what fashion you want. Okay, so if I show you when we went into this item class, for example, let me open up the ground, and we said about this item class here, you had to change the actor class yourself. Now the inventory system does that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my actual project, and I'm going to run through all this information with you now. Right, okay, so now this is obviously a new template. Well, not a new template, the YouTube template that I use. So you can just literally plant trees now, and obviously when they grow up, you can plant as many as you bloody want. When they grow up, you can cut them down. Okay, as you can tell, they're all growing up. This is where your tutorial, your project should be. Once they've grown up, give them another chance. There we go. We click on them, and it won't cut it down. Okay. So we need to go into the master seed that we've been using, which is obviously the class for every item that we're going to have in this game. Okay, so where you got your destroy tree, we're going to check to see if it's fully grown. If it is fully grown, then obviously we're going to set the static mesh to tree stump. Okay, we set that up last time, but for this moment we still have no way of cutting the tree down and deleting the mesh for this tree to stump, for the fully grown. So off the false pin, this is where the widget's going to sit. Okay, and which means we've got to create the widget in the third person. So if you go to your third person character, okay, we now need to create this widget that says, I don't know if we've done it yet, let's have a quick check. Maps, widgets, no, farming, no, we've got no widgets. So we need to create a widget, user face widget, and we need to call this, let me just find out what I called it on here. Okay, the widget is going to be called tree. Oh my god, tree is still growing underscore widget. Okay, we're going to open this up. We're going to get ourselves a canvas panel, and we're going to get ourselves a bit of text. This is all we're going to do, a little bit of text, and the text is going to say tree is still growing. Okay, now you can add this on a HUD if you really want to, like on your main HUD. That's not an issue. You can add it. Just follow the steps afterwards. So I'm gonna anchor this to the center, and then obviously where I want it to sit in the center, which is there. Okay, so we're going to compile and we're going to save. Close that widget down. Now under the third person character, we now need to spawn this widget. We now need to spawn this widget under an event. Okay, so we need to go onto our third person character and create a custom event. Okay, and what we're going to call it is widget. Let me just zoom in a bit so you can see it. Underscore tree still growing. Okay, then obviously create widget, and the class is going to be the tree still growing widget. And then obviously we want to pull out of here and add to viewport. Okay, now from the viewport we want to add a delay. Okay, now you can do this on begin and overlap, but to be honest you don't really need to. We're just going to add a delay of 1.5 seconds, and then at completed we're going to pull from this target here, this return node here, and remove from parent. Okay, so what it's going to do is going to spawn the widget, and then it's going to add the widget to viewport, which is spawning it. Then it's going to give it a 1.5 second delay and then remove the widget. Okay, now we need to go to master seed. Do we have a reference to our third person character? We do not. Okay, so we need to go into the event graph. We need to get the event begin play. Let me just make sure this is, yep, you can hear me. Right, get the event begin play. We want to cast to third person character, the reference being the player pawn. We then want to right click, promote to variable, and I like just to get rid of it, just literally call it BP third person character, compile, save. Now in destroy tree, where it says widget, okay, we need to grab the third person character, and then out of here we need to get widget tree still growing. Okay, so out of false, this is what we're going to do. Right, okay, so if the tree's still growing, we're going to get a widget. So if we press compile and save and play, now it doesn't matter where we lagged. It doesn't matter where we go. If we click on it, it's going to say the tree's still growing. Now, even though these trees are going to be fully grown in a moment, that should disappear, but it's not for some reason. We will check that in a moment. Let's check that now. Actually, third person character. I'm removing this widget from. That should have worked. Okay, I think the reason why that's not disappearing is because, there you go. So it disappears after 1.5 seconds. So it tells us that the tree's still growing. You can do this on overlap, it's not a problem. But it tells us that the tree's still growing. Let's wait till it's fully grown. And as you can tell, when we go to click it, it still says that the tree is growing. The reason for this is that because the master seed here on destroy tree is still saying that we haven't got a reference to this fully grown. So it's still going to say that it's false, false, false. It's not going to do this. Okay, so when it's true, we now need to go into our ground mesh. Okay, I believe. No, not ground mesh. Sorry, master seed event graph. Nope. What did I do with it? Is it ground event graph? Where's the timer's gone? Ah, there it is on the event graph master seed. So once this is being elapsed, right at the end we need to set down here that fully grown is set to true. Okay, so what I'm going to do is quickly go back to destroy tree, and anything past this true node I'm going to just cancel for the moment. Okay, and we're going to put a print string in. Okay, and the print string is going to say fully grown. Okay, so let me just quickly go into these master seeds and change these, because these tend to take bloody ages to grow up. Compile, save, play. So now when we place a seed and we click the button, the tree's still growing. The tree is obviously still growing. On to the next stage. The tree is still growing. But onto the third stage, now it says at the top that the tree is fully grown and the widget isn't showing. This is because that this boolean here is now coming up as true. Okay, so what we're doing is that we're checking now out of this true pin whether the capsule component and the box, so the capsule component of the master seed and the box of the ground, which is a collision box, if they're overlapping, we're going to hit a branch. If it's false, then we're going to do nothing. Okay, but if it's true, what we want to do, we want to set static mesh. Okay, so we want to change the static mesh to tree trunk. Okay, so we'll connect that up now, we'll save, we'll play. Like I said again, tree still growing, tree still growing. Okay, that should go away. There's a bit of a bug there if you double click it too often. Okay, we'll sort that out in a moment. But once the tree is fully grown and we click X, it should spawn the stump. Okay, but what it's done is spawned it under the map, I believe. So we need to bring the stump. No, it hasn't. It hasn't. Okay. Alright, so now the tree has disappeared, which means we've cut the tree down, which is this. We're setting the static mesh to here. Okay, so what we need to do on the next step is we now need to get the static mesh and set the transform of that tree trunk. Okay, so this is where it's going to become a little bit trickier, and we're going to end up, it's going to look a little bit messy, but I will go as slow as I can to try and let you know for you to follow along. So the first thing that we need to do is get the static mesh. Okay, once we get the static mesh, we need to pull out and get the relative transform. Okay, and we need to split this. So if we right click this pin here and split this, we're going to get the location, the rotation and the scale. Okay, so we need to split the location, we need to split the rotation, and the scale can stay the same. So out of the scale, first of all, we need to times this, okay, because this mesh is very small. So we need to make this mesh 15 times bigger. 15 times bigger than it originally is. Okay, whatever mesh you have, this will be trial and error for use. Okay, but I will leave the mesh in the description, which you can download and use. Okay, so now we need to set the relative transform. So we need to grab the static mesh again. So click on this, Control D, which will duplicate it, and we need to set the relative transform. Okay, and again, split the location and split the rotation. Okay, and join them pins up. Bring this below here, bring this down here, and then straighten this out here. Okay, so the scale needs to be 15 times bigger, so that's going to go into the new transform scale. Right, the Z axis of the rotation can stay the same. Okay, the Y pitch here of the rotation can stay the same. The only one we need to change is the roll. Right, and what we need to do, we need to add 90 degrees to this. Okay, so we need to add 90 degrees to the X. Okay, so just leave that down there so it's a little bit neater. The next thing we want to do is now change where this static mesh is going to spawn, okay? Because at the minute it's spawning at 0, 0, 0. That's why when we destroy the tree, the stump is not there. It hasn't spawned because it hasn't got a place to spawn. So the first thing we need to do is on the X. Now this could be different to yours. Yeah, this is trial and error. Okay, this is what mine is. But if you're following along on this tutorial, this should be the same. We want to take away 60 on the X-axis. Okay, and then on the Y-axis we want to take away 30. No, we want a plus 30. Sorry. Okay, we want a plus 30. And then on the Z-axis we want a plus 40. Okay, so we want to add and plus 40 to that. So that is, you're getting the static mesh relative transform, and we're changing the relative transform. Okay, and this is what it is. All right. The next section is what we can do is we have cut down here, so we can drag this out and set this to true. Okay, we're not going to use it yet, but that's what we can do. We're going to create a variable, which we should have created in the last episode. I can't remember if we did or not, but if we didn't, cut down question mark, make it as a boolean, set it as true there. So now when I press play and we place a tree, the tree's still growing. Tree's still growing. Tree's still growing. We cut this and it spawns a stump. Okay, now the stump is not in the right location. Like I said, this is very trial and error. I will edit that off camera, but like I said, is that what it's done is now change the static mesh of the tree to the trunk. Okay, and then what we want to do, we want to spawn an item for that. We now want to spawn a piece of wood for that. Okay, so when we click on this to interact with this tree, it's going to spawn this stump, but we also want it to spawn a piece of wood. Now we can set it up, but we can't do this section until the inventory's done. Okay, so we can set it up of where we want it to spawn, but we can't do it until we have the inventory system, or the basic inventory system implemented. So we're going to pull off this static mesh, yeah, and we're going to get a world location. Okay, and then we're going to pull off this and get the world rotation. Okay, and then we're going to split the world location but keep the location the same. Then we're going to make a transform. Oh God, if I could spell today. The location is going to stay the same, so the location goes straight into the pin. Why is this so big again? Go straight into the pin, but the rotation needs to be split. Okay, and this is because the log that I have is going to want to stand up, and we don't want it to stand up. So the X can stay the same, the Y can stay the same, the scale can stay the same at 111. That's not a problem. And then obviously we're going to add 90 degrees to make this lay down. Okay, and pop it in the rotation of the pitch. Compile, save. Now out of the transform, we now want to spawn an actor. So this is going to be the spawn actor from class. Okay, so we actually don't have this down at the moment, but what we can do is we can get a cube maybe. Okay, one sec. Go back here. I'm just going to pull in a sphere. I'm going to make sure that I'm clicked on it. Go up to actor, convert to static mesh, go into blueprints, go into farming, go into meshes, and call this log. Okay, and then we open this up, we should be able to change the basic material, so we can come down and change it to something wood. There you go. Save. Close that. We now have a log that's going to spawn. Okay, so we can delete that one, and we can delete that one, and we can go back into master seed, and this now needs to be a clock. This now needs to be a class, so we need to go into your content folder, blueprints, farming, meshes, right click, blueprint class, actor, and call log to spawn. Now we're going to change the mesh. We're going to change the mesh, but for now, this is going to work fine for us. So log to spawn, we'll click on this. We'll go up to the components, add a mesh. So we want to add a static mesh. Okay. Click on the static mesh and type in log. Now you can make it smaller if you wish, a little bit wider. There we go. Close that down. Go back onto master seed and then call this log to spawn. There we go. Okay, default is try adjust location but always spawn. Okay, so we're going to compile and save that. Now let's give that a go. Plant a tree. Can't cut it down because the tree's still growing. It does have an issue with changing around where the tree spawn. Chop this down. It's now going to spawn the log, and it's now going to spawn the tree trunk. Okay, you can't do anything with these. Oh, if you click on the tree trunk, also it makes it massive. But yeah, there's a fix coming for that. So let's spawn it again. Let's see what happens. Okay, right. So that's working. We can now leave that and save that where that is. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to start thinking about an inventory system, because we now have the widget implemented. We now have the spawn implemented, so it spawns items. We now need to think about the inventory. So we're going to make minor. We're gonna set up the system pretty much, and then in the next episode we will complete the system, and you'll have exactly the same system as that I had when I showed you at the start of this video. Right, so let's get this started. So the first thing we want to do is go into farming, into the blueprints folder, add a new folder and call it inventory. Okay, open up the inventory. Now we're going to create a couple of things. Right, the first thing we want to do is right click, blueprints, blueprint interface. Right, so we're going to call this pick item underscore interface. Okay, we're going to open that up. Yeah, and we're going to create. Let me have a look. Oh, God, don't do that. Right, hang on a sec. We're going to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 functions in here. Okay, so I'm going to work with the other project on my other screen. So this one's going to be called pick up item. Okay, and what that is we're going to that's what function we're going to call when we want to pick the item up. So we're going to have 3 inputs here. So the first one's going to be called item class. And that is going to be a actor class reference. Okay, we're going to create another one here, which is going to be item icon, which is going to be a texture 2D. I don't know why it does that. It drives me fucking mental. You have to texture 2D. And then we're going to add one more, and this is going to be the stack amount. Okay. Oh, 1M Adam. And this is going to be an integer. So look, I click on integer, it doesn't change. You have to do it fucking twice. We're going to compile, we're going to save that, create a new function. The next function is going to be drop item, okay? And in the drop item, we're going to want one input, and that's going to be the item class. And that's going to be an actor class reference. And we're going to compile and we're going to save that. 1 second, my phone is ringing. Right, okay, so that's your drop item, and you've got one input class, and that's an actor. The next one is going to be get pick item data. Okay, and what we're going to have on this is outputs. So we're going to need an output for obviously the item class, which is going to be an actor class reference. We're going to need a current stack amount, which is going to be an integer. Okay, and then we're going to get the max stack amount, which is also going to be an integer. Okay, compile, save. 2 more functions to go. Right, so we're going to add picked item to stack. Okay, and then in this item picked item to stacked, we're just going to leave it as it is. We're not going to have no inputs and no outputs. Okay, one more, and this is going to be selected item. Okay, so select item, and in here I believe there's 2. Yes, so the first input is an actor class. Okay, and that's going to be a class, an actor class, got lost there, an actor class reference, do it again, actor class reference, for fuck's sake, like my day ain't long enough, and obviously, and then another one called current stack, okay, and that's going to be an integer. We're going to compile, we're going to save, we're going to close that down. The next thing that we want to do is create a widget. Okay, so we need to right click, use a widget, widget blueprint, use a widget, and this one's going to be called w_pick up item widget. Okay, we're going to create another user widget, which is going to be w_inventory. We'll do the inventory first because it's pretty simple and easier. Right, so the first thing we want to do is grab a canvas panel, obviously, and bring that in. The next thing we want to do is grab a border and bring that in. Size this up to the size that you want and bring it down here. Change the I think it's the that's content, the brush color, to a dark brown, and change this to 0.5. This is preference. You don't need to do this. You can do it whatever way you want to do it. The next thing we want to get is a size box, I believe. Nope, sorry, it's a wrap box. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is get a wrap box, and we're going to drag that wrap box into here, size it up accordingly, and pop it in here. Okay, so pop it in here, bring it a bit smaller, and we're going to rename this to inventory box. Okay, and then we want to grab a text and we want to slap it in there, not on it, next to it, and this one's just going to be called inventory, and we want to change the size of this to 16. So it's just a nice little 16, and center it. Grab this. One sec, my phone's ringing. And then we're going to place that inventory there. Okay, this is this one done. This is all we need. We're going to compile, we're going to save, and we're going to close that. In the pickup item, we want to go to fill screen and select custom. Okay, now 100 width and 100 height is brilliant. That's what we want. We need that. And what we're going to do is we're going to, let's have a look at this so I don't get it right. We're going to first grab an overlay and drag that in. Okay, on top of that overlay, yeah, we're going to get a button. Okay, so we're going to add that button to there and we're going to fill it. Okay, so yeah, we're going to fill there, fill horizontally and fill vertically. I can't talk this morning. And we're going to change the name of this variable to item button. Okay, and then we're going to literally grab a image and we're going to slap the image onto the item button, and the image we're going to set the padding to 2. Okay, we're going to want to fill, and then on the item button, if we type up in the top padding, it gives us 3 sets of padding. The top one 2, the normal padding 2, and the press padding 2. And we're going to save this as image icon as a variable, obviously, and the button, make sure that's a variable too. And the last thing we want to do is add a text, but the text is going to sit on the button, not the icon. Okay, so the text is going to be, let's give it the padding, content appearance, text color is going to be black, and we're going to set the text to 99 and the desired, let's say 16. Okay, so, and if we go to slot, we can sort out the alignment and we want to go bottom. Okay, press control, press compile and save. And that is us setting up our inventory. What time are we at? 32 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this here, and in the next video we're going to get the inventory system done so we can pick up, we can select what tree we want to plant and what item gets spawned once that tree gets cut down. So that's the next step. Thank you for watching. This is Bulldog Games. If you like, please hit the like button. If this has helped you, hit the subscribe button. There's many more tutorials due to come out. And yeah, thank you. And I will catch you soon. Bye.